How's it going, my trim people? DrSlaking the Slacking Doctor, back with week, I want to say 7, I think it's the penultimate week of Egg. I don't know what week it is, I never do. I think it's week 7 maybe. As this week, your Cotswold Whimsicots go up against Kurt and his, or Kirby I should say, and his Winnipeg Blue Blastoise. I think the name's not on the logo. I always get scared when I do that. I'm pretty sure I know his team name, but I always get scared when it's not on the logo because then I can't double check it, but I'm pretty sure it's the Winnipeg Blue Blastoise. You don't care. That's not the point. You probably already know. Let me start off by apologising for the lighting. I know it's not great. I kind of rely on natural lighting in my house now, so when we have to do games a little bit later like this and the light's fading, there's just not a lot I can really do. I could invest in some lights. I used to have ring lights and stuff, but they wouldn't really fit in our current lounge, which is where I record, where Katie works. And yeah, setting up a bunch of ring lights at the desk that she works at 9 to 5 every day feels a little bit kind of selfish. So I haven't done that. We haven't really got space for them. It would make our lounge look very ugly. It is what it is. By the by, Kurt should be around any minute. If you have not checked him out for whatever reason, check out his link down in the description. He won the first ever proper full season that I was involved with in Draft League. So me and this man go way back. So my first ever Draft League was PIBA off season, which was like a little tournament. I think I played 3 games and it was like NFE. It wasn't like full OU, whatever. I'm just going to move this up for you slightly. And then me and my good friend Nico started our own league, the ABC, where we did a full OU league. And Kurt won that. So, yeah, literally from my very first league, this man's been around. And that looks like it's him. It is. So, I know he's a very good player. I've always known he's a very good player. This should be a really tough game. Our team is bad. It's been bad all season. Addison built this team with me. Speed built it when she was here, like I explained a few weeks ago. So it's probably not going to work, really, because she's not as good at this game as me. What can I say? You know, I've got an amateur helping me build. What do you expect to happen? No, but Kurt's very good. His team's very good. We'll struggle, but it'll be fun. Anyway, I actually had something I wanted to talk about today. So recently I've been playing through Pokemon Black 2 or White 2. I still get confused which one's which. One of them. And genuinely been enjoying that, which is the first time I've enjoyed a Pokemon game since my Sword and Shield playthrough. First playthrough, like the day of release, pretty much. I haven't really enjoyed Pokemon since then, like playing the main game story. So what does the Azumarill come instead of? Golden Go. Okay. Golden Go? I don't know. I did think the Azumarill would come, I just couldn't figure out what in place of, but that makes some sense. Okay, we have a dedicated lead here. So, yeah, so I've been playing through that. Would anyone, comment down below if you would be at all interested in seeing any kind of Let's Play content back on the channel. I've never really stuck to them in the past, so if I was going to do it, I couldn't guarantee that the series would finish, but it's something I toy around with every now and then, going back and doing. I don't know. If you'd be interested, just comment down below that you'd be interested, and there'll probably be no comments, and then I'll know that no one's interested. Do I have a story for you today? Sort of. I know Kurt likes me to tell stories about pigeons, and I was going to save a story about a man I saw punching a pigeon for this episode, but I actually have a different story I want to tell today. So, recently, and if you're new around here, I don't know what you're doing tuning in on week 7, but we don't talk about Pokemon, we just talk about whatever the fuck comes into my head. And today, I went and met up with a friend of mine. And it really got me thinking about something that I'd been thinking about quite a bit anyway. So recently, I started watching, not a lot, but here and there, some kind of fashion sort of videos on YouTube, sort of men's fashion stuff. Now, as you can see, I'm no kind of fashionista. I'm just kind of me, which is probably what everyone says, right? But, you know, I don't profess to be uber fashionable or anything. So switching to Gengar is not immediately obvious. I think T-Spikes go a really long way in this game. So I'm just going to try and get a T-Spike up rather than go for damage. Because he actually goes for the Thunder Wave, which is fine because that doesn't break my sash. So I'm okay with that. I think I'll just go for 1 T-Spike because I don't see anything in this team that I really feel like I need to rack up toxic damage that will be in for a lot of turns. I think the immediate 1-turn buff of the higher... You know what I'm saying? When something's badly poisoned, it takes more over time, but when it's just regular poisoned on that first turn, it takes more. I think that'll be more helpful here. Now, I think we could see a U-turn. He could just straight up attack. I'm going to Shadow Ball. he U-turns into Chestnut, I think there's a chance I'm still fast or even paralyzed. I don't really know. As he does just Terra. So you can Terra Flying or Ice on this. But I'm just going to go for damage. So anyway, I've been watching some like sort of fashion YouTube stuff, and I tend to try and avoid that sphere in general on YouTube, because I find that if you're not careful, you can end up getting kind of finding yourself on the wrong side of YouTube, onto kind of this sort of Meninist strange stuff that, I'll be honest, is not for me. Yeah. Okay, Terra Blast is disabled, so that's that flying stab gone, so that's pretty nice. And that does big damage, that's really nice. Do I save this as a sack and go into anything? I could go into Ursaluna, expecting him to have to Thunderbolt for the KO here. Because he can't Terra Blast, but he could Icy Wind. Does it still get Icy Wind? I'm not going to take the risk. I'm not going to take the risk. Like, because I'm going to have to go into Ursaluna anyway to revenge. Yeah, that's why. Because just I'm on 1 HP, so if he's got any coverage move that isn't Thunderbolt, he should go for it there. So, not worth it. Just a thought, passing thought. But anyway, back to the point. So, yeah, I tend to, whilst I understand, so, like, I've had, you know, friends and stuff that have got into that side of YouTube, back to the fashion stuff and the kind of, you know, the Meninism, for want of a better word, kind of stuff. Whilst I've had friends that have got into that side of YouTube, and I can understand the, I can understand where its place exists and why people watch it. I understand that, you know, some people feel a kind of certain kind of way and feel disenfranchised, so they end up watching that kind of thing. And though it's not for me, I understand that not everyone that watches it is some kind of monster or anything, right? We all go through shit in our lives, and we all turn to different things at times. But I try and watch these YouTube creators that don't go down that angle. And I was watching one the other day. I won't name names, but I'm not the biggest fan of his content, but he does some interesting fashion stuff. He's clearly quite well to do, clearly quite well off, buys a lot of very expensive fashion things that I could never afford. I believe moved from America to the UK and has done well for himself. Seems to live in a very nice apartment, seems to have a studio that he films from, so, and is probably one of the top 3 or 4 biggest fashion YouTubers, I would think. So you might be able to guess who I'm talking about. We actually have a mutual friend, I think, which is why I kind of took an interest in him in the first place. But, by the by, so I was watching him, and he uploaded a video where, this is going somewhere, so I hope you're staying with me. He uploaded a video where he was kind of, and I've seen a real, like, splurge of these coming up on YouTube. So the reason that I mentioned, like, the kind of Meninism stuff and all that kind of thing is that there was a period of time where YouTube was, like, throwing all these videos out there for men who feel like they were having a bad lot in life, that they weren't being treated well, and felt quite angry, right? And what I've noticed recently is that seems to have been replaced, and I wonder if it's because the target demographic of those videos are now a little bit older. But that seems to have been replaced, I think, with a splurge of videos that are like, what I regret from my blah blah blah. So, what I regret from my teens, what I regret from my 20s, what I regret from my 30s, these kind of things. And I find these videos interesting, and this particular fashion YouTuber had uploaded one of these. And do I just U-turn? Yeah. And in essence, what he said was that from his 20s, I think it was, now he's hit 30 or early 30s, what he regretted was a bunch of, like, lifestyle things. And they were things from masturbating. This is a Christian channel. We don't do that around here. God, dear me. Sexual urges? Pff, disgraceful. They don't exist in Britain. That must be a strange American thing. Sexuality. What is it? I don't know. Anyway, so why do you guys watch this channel? I would never understand. So he seemed to. Do you think Dark Pulse kills? It's got a little bit of chip. I'm gonna go for it. So, yeah, he regretted masturbating, which Okay, anyway. And there were other things that he said he regretted, like not having established a routine in his life in his 20s, not having gone to clubs, nightclubs too much in his 20s, having not, I don't know, studied more or something. Like, I can't exactly remember, but the key things I remember was masturbation, because it made me laugh, and going to nightclubs, because that made me laugh. I understand that, like, this whole, like, no nut November and no masturbating thing is, like, a big thing on YouTube now and in the online sphere. Maybe you guys can explain it to me in the comments. Sure, there's probably some science or pseudoscience that backs it up, but I just think it's funny, because I'm old and I find things funny. So anyway, this is chaos. I was listening to him mainly talk about, like, going out clubbing and all these things, and how he regretted it. And he wasn't shaming people that are in their 20s doing it now, but the point of the video was, this is an advice video. This is me telling you how to take better advantage of your 20s than I did, or he did, you know, I'm speaking from his point of view. So what he said was like, oh, I wish I hadn't spent so long in the club, I wish I hadn't spent so much money drinking, I wish I hadn't whatever. And I was listening, I was thinking, like, I wish I'd established a better routine, I wish I'd spent more time working from home, I wish I'd focused on YouTube, whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, but, like, when you're 21, I remember being 21, do you care about how much your pension is going to pay? I fucking didn't. I didn't at all. Do you care about, like, what your next career step will be? Or do you really want to see large boobs? Because I'll be honest, I really just wanted to see large boobs. That was all I really gave a shit about when I was 21. So, yeah, I could have spent my 20s, and I'm soon to be 29, so I'm getting there, I'm nearly out of my 20s. I could have spent my 20s trying to get the best possible pension, and I could have spent my 20s, my early 20s, because I haven't spent most of my 20s doing it, but I could have spent my early 20s not going to nightclubs, not trying to see large boobs, etc. But then, like, why is that inherently better if that isn't what I wanted to do in my 20s? Like, surely the way to spend your 20s, or the way to spend your life in general, is doing what you want to do at that moment. Like, if you're someone who's anxious about the future and really cares about your pension and stuff, like, all power to you. Go and try and get a good pension. But if you really couldn't care less, then don't try to care because other people tell you that's how you should spend your 20s or that's what you should be doing. Like, it just really confused me. And on top of that, like, I can't help but feel when I hear people in their 30s and 40s say things like this, usually they're, like, got a serious long-term partner, or they're engaged, or they're going to be married, or they're already married. Maybe they've got kids. And I think to myself, if you hadn't spent your 20s socializing or gaming or doing whatever the fuck it is you did, like, let's take that specific example of him going to a nightclub and stuff, chasing women. Because I believe he's heterosexual, so I believe he was going to a nightclub chasing women. Maybe he wasn't, I don't know. But that's, I think, is true. If that's what you spent your 20s doing, and now you have a long-term partner, and now you're happy, would you have got to that point had you not spent your early 20s doing what you did? Like, maybe you met your partner through a dating app. Maybe you met them in a nightclub. Maybe, you know, the social skills that you developed by going on those dates stood you in good stead to get a partner that you wanted. Like, do you see what I'm trying to say? It's this weird thing to me of, like, all those decisions that you're telling people not to take because you regret them. Like, I bet you had a really good time when you were doing it, and I bet they led you to be where you are now. So if those people don't follow those steps, if they don't make those mistakes, if they don't sit there jacking off, if people in their 20s do not masturbate, how will they find happiness in their 30s? That's what I'm trying to say. I think maybe you understand what I'm getting at here, maybe you don't. I just think the way you lived your life worked for you, and it got you to this point. But that doesn't mean it would work for, like, everyone else. And you shouldn't follow someone else's kind of advice. And you shouldn't worry about... You shouldn't listen to me, for starters, fucking hell. But you shouldn't worry about, like, what does society expect me to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing? So the reason I bring this up is because I met my friend today, and he was saying, like, man, he's in his mid-20s, and he's like, I feel like people must see me as a loser because I don't drive. Like, people must really judge me because I don't drive and I still live with my parents. And I was like, but do you think you're a loser? Like, do you care about that? Do you want to drive? And he was like, not really. And so I was like, oh, I should have body slammed there. That's a misplay because the chestnut should come out. Yeah. I was going to aerial ace to predict the chestnut, and then I was like, nah, I don't need to just predict. I'm just going to... Do you think we outspeed? I have no idea the speed is here. If you scarf Urshi, I can still win with Inteleon. Mingo does look useful for Urshi still. With rocks up, probably not. It's fine. Yeah. So and I said, do you think you're a loser? And he's like, no, because I know, and I'm not going to go into his private life, but he was like, I know that I'm doing this, this, and this, and I care about those things. So these things are important to me, and I'm enjoying doing them. And also I was like, so why does it matter that some people in their mid-20s have a car, and some people in their mid-20s have their own apartment? I'm 28 years old, soon to be 29. I went to university in 2012. Some of you were probably like, what, 4 then? Right? Like, it was a long time ago. 11 years ago. Some of you maybe 5, 6, whatever. But I went to university in 2012. I'm still at university. I've still never had a full-time job for longer than X amount of time. I think like 3 months, 4 months I lasted during lockdown when I had a full-time job. By loads of societal measures, I would be a loser, right? I don't meet the thing. But then I'm like, yeah, sure, but I would have gone mad if I tried to do any of those things that I'm supposed to have done. Instead, I've just really enjoyed like working on my education, really enjoyed doing a PhD and working towards a life that in my 30s, 40s, 50s, I'll enjoy. So, and in my 20s, I had a really great time, like for most of it. The middle bit I didn't really enjoy, but that's because I made some wrong turns that then showed me where I was going in my late 20s. Like, I learned from those mistakes. Like, and so my point is, I find these kind of advice videos that I feel like have replaced some of the other kinds of videos that were around. I find it all almost like predatory, if that's the right word to use. Who am I pivoting into here? I can't imagine he's belly drumming. Do we just sack the bear now? The chestnut is so low. I don't even know if this is faster than anything, so I think we just sack the bear. Yeah, I feel like they're almost predatory, and I feel like they almost replaced this thing of like trying to appeal to the angry young man, where now they're trying to appeal to the disillusioned early 20s or the insecure, frightened early 20s. Because don't get me wrong, if you're in your early 20s and you're in your late teens, that's the most fucking confusing time in your life. Like, straight up, people say, like, when you're at school, yeah, you get videos and they're like, don't worry, you may start to grow pubes in the near future when you're like 11, and they think that you're going to be really, really concerned about growing pubic hair. From my experience, that shit was like, okay, like whatever, who really cares? What was really a problem was going into your late teens and your early 20s and trying to figure out, like, am I a child? Am I an adult? What is the expectation here? Who am I supposed to be? What is my role in society? What do people expect of me? It's a horrible time. And so I feel like, yeah, maybe these videos that were targeting people in their teens who, like, maybe their girlfriend had dumped them, maybe the girl they liked, like, wasn't texting them back. I've been there. We've all been there, right, in our teens, or the guy they liked, whatever. Maybe, like, those videos that were targeting them with this kind of spiel, quite angry towards women, quite bitter, I feel like that's been replaced as those people have grown out of that demographic and into a frightened late teens, early 20s demographic to say, oh, now you need to live your life like this. Like, you know how you were frightened of this and that? Like, well, you need to live your life like this now. And I just kind of think, like, no, you don't. You don't need any of that. Like, go out, get drunk, party, if that's what you want to do. If you want to sit in, play video games, do that, if that's what you want to do. Because when I went to university, of my housemates, I was, and this is going to shock you, because I make Pokemon videos on YouTube, so this will totally not fit with the persona you have in your head of me, but I was the reclusive one. I know, right? Shocking. I just sat here playing video games all the time. Like, I went out on nights out, I played in the football team, I went out with them sometimes, I didn't really like it. I thought the atmosphere was really toxic. people would show you pictures of women that they'd taken when the woman was drunk and unconscious, and I was like, this is horrible, I don't want to be here. So I didn't really engage in that side of things. It wasn't for me. But I had a great time sitting in, playing video games, eating chicken Kievs every night, hanging out with my friends. I thought it was wicked. Not really turning up to lectures, piling up massive debt. Don't regret any of it. It was great. It was what suited me. And to everyone else looking in from the outside, they'd have gone, well, he's wasting his 20s. No, I wasn't. I was spending them how I wanted to spend them. How could that possibly be wasting? So, that's my whole thing. Spiel over. I just find it a little bit frustrating. I'm pretty sure if I kill this, I can then sweep with Inteleon. So that's my rant for today. After spending time with my friend today and hearing his kind of, not self-loathing, but his doubts and his fears about the right and wrong way to do things, and seeing the rise of these videos on on YouTube telling you how to spend your 20s or your 30s, I just kind of want to say that I think a lot of you are younger than me watching, and you shouldn't fucking listen to my advice anyway, but for what it's worth, here's my advice. A lot of you are younger than me, and you might kind of have grown up with YouTube in a way that I didn't. And you might have grown up with some of these internet personalities in the way that I didn't. You might have grown up with me. I've been doing this that long. And so you might look at some of these people as almost like big brother figures, right? And you might really value their advice. I think Chestnut is also dead. And that's fine. I'm not telling you to not value their advice. I'm not telling you to not look up to anyone. I'm not making a commentary on parasocial relationships or anything like that. But what I am saying is, like, just... I think we kill, right? I don't think if I U-turn it will put me in Sucker Punch range. I just want to make sure he's in range, and I think the poison damage whistling up will do that. And I don't think Stealth Rocks will put me in Sucker Punch range, but I could be wrong. But I want to see if he's Scarf or if he's Sucker Punching. Yeah, so I think he's Scarf. And we can test that theory by going into our Poison Hooper. And if he's not, then Inteleon... I mean, even if he is, with the defense drop, actually, we can just go Inteleon. Can you lock Wicked Blow to sweepers now? No, because you'd have to lock Sucker Punch. So yeah, we're fine. We just Snipe Shot. With a defense drop, we'll kill. So yeah, if you've like looked up these people, if you've been following people a long time, just make sure for what it's worth, my advice, don't have to listen to it, because again, don't listen to anyone you don't want to listen to, but for what it's worth, I kind of feel like, just take it all with a grain of salt, a pinch of salt, however you say it. Like, I never know that expression. Is it a pinch of salt or a grain of salt? I don't know, 28 years, 29 years, and I still don't know how to say that. But yeah, just, I don't know, man. Only you can fucking live your life, so when other people tell you, like, do it like this and do it like that, they're not the ones that at the end of it are going to have to look back and be like, this is how I spent my life, because it's fucking yours. So, you know, fucking do it your own way, man. I don't know. It was kind of upsetting me today, because like I said, I was spending some time with a friend, and he was just super down about it, super down about himself, because he felt like he wasn't meeting the expectations of society and societal pressures. Meanwhile, he's doing great, and he shouldn't feel like that at all. And I just feel like that really sucks. So I thought maybe 50 people will watch this video, and maybe one of them might be feeling like that. Maybe one of them might have seen some of these slightly predatory videos on YouTube, and they might think, you know what, he's right. If I want to sit inside masturbating while playing Pokemon because I find Spewper irresistible, then I'll fucking do it. Because DrSlaking said that's how he spent his 20s. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know the point of this. GG to Kurt. That was a really fun game. I didn't get distracted by Pokemon. I stayed super on track. That's not like me. Normally this game fucking gets in the way of what I'm trying to say. It did a little bit. I kind of lost my steam towards the end. We tried. Yeah, GG to Kurt. Really, really fun game. This team actually did quite well. Toxic Spike was huge at the beginning. Shout out to Addison for that one. Regardless, hope you enjoyed this one. Check out Kurt. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.